I'm still reading the brand new, never done this before messages on the YouTube screen. This is my first ever YouTube live, and it's almost an hour late. And oh, what fun! And I don't think it matters because this is just like standing under my cherry tree 4 years ago, or whenever it was that I did my first live out there on my phone on Facebook. And now I'm starting in YouTube, and it's all entertaining. And just because I like to do that, I'm going to start by showing you some rocks. It's got nothing to do with being God or me and everything to do with what I like to do, which is what I get to do on this channel. And I like this. I just wanted to show you this. Quartz, yeah? But look at the black bits. Reminds me of the two towers that got, knocked down. Well, somewhere in Dubai. It's fabulous. And it's very cool. And I like showing off rocks. And I really like this bottom part because this grew on calcite. See those shapes? That is the negative, you can stick your finger in here, that is the negative imprint of calcite that's then dissolved out. So there must have been acid or something. So it's a really groovy piece, and I like to start my lives with something that just gives people an opportunity to come on. Because right now I'm all here by myself, but it won't be like that forever. So, who am I? I am oneness evolving, and welcome to God of Me. This is the first ever live that I've done as me in this channel, and I'm quite excited. And where I want to start is just to tell you a story, and it's a story of me in this journey that we're all on, by the way, of becoming God of Me. And what does that mean? God of me means being the boss of my life. God of me means feeling like I get to choose instead of feeling like life happens to me. It means being able to have stuff come up, and believe me, stuff comes up for me. Painful stuff, scary stuff, challenging stuff, exciting stuff, really cool changes and things that happen, and they all come up because even the good stuff is just as challenging to adapt to as bad stuff, by the way. We naturally resist change. It's built into our bodies and our brains and who we are that we resist change. So even really good change takes energy to accommodate. So stuff comes up, right? Life happens, good, bad, or indifferent. And how do I master myself in my life? And that's what God of Me is about. And it's taken me, those of you who remember me from my previous incarnation as Maddie Schaefer on Facebook, where I still am, and I haven't changed my name officially yet, but I'm going to. When it's time, there's so much work involved. You think about changing your name and how many people and accounts and banks and everything else you have to tell. I'm not doing it yet, but that's who I'm becoming. In the process of being God of Me, that's who I'm becoming. It's oneness evolving. And so, to start with, I'm just going to tell you stories. Now, every day I spend some time in meditation, as I would say, connecting with the unified field and connecting with the God of me, which is the God that is me, in the unified field, meditating, right? And there's just a certain amount of time. G'day! I see someone's watching. It's lovely to see you. There's just a certain amount of time that I have to spend doing that in order to be my boss, in order to be my own boss. And if I don't spend that time, it's not pretty. Now, I can actually say that I haven't not spent that time for more than 4 years. But there's been a couple of days when I haven't been able to spend as much time as I normally spend, and it doesn't feel so good. My body and my brain actually need this process that I do of creating order, creating divinity, if you like, in me. And that all sounds very philosophical and, oh, that's great, divine, whatever. But what use is it? Because I'm really only interested in stuff that I can use. And what I can use is something that helps me actually live better, more effectively in my life when the shit hits their fan, when stuff goes down or comes up or whatever. And that's what God of Me is about. And that's what I'm interested in, is being able to master myself. Mike, it's great to see you, sweetie. So nice to be here with you. So, yeah, so that's why we're here. I'm just going to tell stories and invite questions, because that's what I want to do. Once a week, I'm going to tell stories and invite questions And I know there are lots of people around and about who are interested in this. Yeah, philosophy's great, but tell me how I can live my life more effectively. Don't tell me how to live my life, but help me work out how to live my life better myself. And that's what I'm interested in doing. So if you find that this is useful or even just interesting and thought provoking, please do share it with people you think would be interested in being God of themselves. Because this is not about religion, okay? Everyone has their own way of connecting with the divine, and religion helps people do that too. For me, these are just the words and the method that I use, and they work really well for me in this ongoing process. So that's what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is start. See these? This is my handwriting, back to front probably in the camera. And I am going to read to you a section of my meditation journal because I write down what I meditate, what happens in my meditations. But in this case, I wrote down what had happened the day before, and it's kind of important and it's relevant to this question of mastering myself. So I'm going to tell you a story now. So I wrote this on the 20th of May. So it's only a few days ago, and it happened the day before. So I was driving down the hill, and I'm going to annotate because I don't write absolutely everything because I know when I'm reading my diary what it is. I was driving down the hill early in the morning, it was still dark, going to a place where I go to do walking meditations. And I was driving down the hill, and suddenly there was this really ugly hot smell in the car. I was like, oh, what's that? And normally it's coming from outside, but it got stronger, and I thought, oh, that's me. So I coasted. I sort of thought, oh, I better stop. Stopped at the bottom and called the New Zealand Automobile Association. And logged a call with them, and they said, oh yeah, we'll be in touch. Hello, beautiful people, it's lovely to see you joining me. It's just such a privilege to share with you. And there was a lovely man who was just opening up a coffee cart at the time, because he's got a coffee cart. I was parked outside this big electrical supplies shop, and there's a coffee cart there, and he was opening. And I wandered over and said hello and asked him if he could help me move my car to a better place, because there was angle parking in front of the shop, and I was parked like this. I just pulled in. So he helped me move it to a better place, and it was going to be a place that would be good for the AA man when he came. And then I got a text. It was all very beautiful the way this unfolded. I got a text, and the text was from the Automobile Association saying, okay, it's going to be an hour before the tech comes. And I thought, oh, okay, fine. I'm not going to the beach. What can I do with this time? And I thought, well, I've got my iPod with me. I can have my walking meditation anyway. And I thought, I don't want to do one of the normal ones that I do, which are an hour or a bit more, because firstly, I'm not in a place where I can completely trance out and forget about everything. This is a main road. I don't know where I'm going to walk. I was thinking I might just be walking up and down a piece of the road on the side. But I settled on a track that was 37 minutes long, and I fluffed about a bit and got everything organised, the right clothes, because it was a little bit drizzly, and just got myself organised. 37 minutes, I thought, I'll be back in plenty of time for the man to come. And then I thought, where am I going to walk? And here's the shop, right, in the parks, and then just around the corner, there's this little street, and it looks like it's just going to be a cul-de-sac. And I think, oh, okay, I'll put the music in my ear. I just chose some music, no cues, no nothing, just music. But it's music I really love, and it's beautiful to meditate to. And I thought, I'll walk up here and see where it goes. And this is what I wrote. Okay, where? Well, let's see where Melvin Road goes. Turns out, up the hill to some spectacular views. I stood at one and watched entranced as the still surface of the harbour changed with the air currents. Took photos while in meditation. You can actually do that, And what I've forgotten to say is that I walked up the hill. It was like there's a walking section to the music. And I got to the top, and there were all these pictures that I took, and then I turned around, and on the way down, there's a place where the music becomes more still, and it's more about opening your heart. And so I stopped with this magnificent view, which was all mine. There was just cars parked there, houses miles away from the road, because it's like, this is the side of the hill, right? It's steep. It's just a road with cars and houses elsewhere. And I just stood and looked at this amazing view and was opening my heart, which usually makes me cry because I just connect and feel love and other wonderful things, and just watched, and that's a 13-minute section. And then when that finished, I took a picture at the beginning and I took a picture at the end. And if I'm organised, I can post the pictures. And then I walked on down and I got to the bottom of the hill, and the music was just finishing, and I was standing quite close to the coffee cart, and I took pictures, all the way. And then there was, and the car was there, and the music finished, and the tech drove up, and it was a tow truck, and I thought, is that for me? Because I was expecting to see him. They normally come in a ute. But of course, if your car's broken down, they might need a tow truck. So he came in his tow truck, and I thought, oh. And he waves at me, and I think, oh, there he is, and he's early. And I was right on time. So he looks, he says, well, can't see anything wrong with the motor. Could be that maybe one of your brakes was rubbing. I mean, he could smell the smell. It was really strong. The guy in the coffee cart thought that it was electrical. Anyway, so, and it was an hour later. But he said, look, there's nothing wrong with your... Really, something went wrong. Try again. Had to retry. Okay. Yeah, the counter's still going, so I'm going to assume everything's fine. So he couldn't find anything wrong with the car, so he said, look, just carry on. I can give you a tow to Petone because I needed to go and do my shopping. That was essential. Or you can just drive there yourself. And I thought, no, I think I'm okay to drive there. And I drove there, and I did the shopping, and I came home without incident. And then I thought, so that was, that was beautiful. The whole thing was really so synchronous, and I felt really loved. I felt really loved by the universe. Like from minute to minute to minute, the whole thing flowed. And so I did my shopping, and I came home, and I had the rest of my day. But I had to make a decision because I wanted to go to the beach the next morning because the weather was going to be okay, and I thought I want to go to the beach. But I thought, I don't know, because I didn't know what the situation was, and I thought I don't want to be stranded again. It's time consuming, So I made this decision that I would not go to the beach, that I would just drive the car to a local park that I've been meaning to try out for walking meditations for ages. I thought, this is my excuse. Okay, I'll do that. So next day, I drive up to Waihenahena Park, have a wonderful walking meditation, no problem. Drive home, and it's a 5-minute drive, 5 or 6 or 7-minute drive. And in the last maybe minute of the drive, coming up the road to our place, there's the smell again. It's not as strong, but there's the smell again. So I thought, well, there is something going on. So I was right. I listened to my heart, and I was right. Because if I'd done that on the way to Petone Beach, it would have freaked me out. I would have worried. It would have been a problem. So, and then, even if I got there all fine, I would have a wonderful meditation and then, oh God, now I've got to drive home and I don't know what's going to go on. So it kind of spoils the whole thing. So I thought I made the right choice. I listened to my heart. My heart was right. Yay me. So then I call the mechanic. This is 2 days ago. Get the car in. They have a look, and they made space for me, which was lovely. And they're local, so I can walk there. It's about 7 or 8, 10-minute walk. Drop the car off, come home. They look at it. They can't find anything. The brakes are perfect. It's fine. It's been well maintained. But they think that perhaps it's an oil leak. The car is aged, and it does have a small oil leak. But it's never done that before. So it's like, why is it, maybe it's a little bigger than it was, and it's tripping on the exhaust. That was their suspicion. But they said, look, we can't find any reason why there's a problem here. And they didn't charge me anything for checking it out really carefully and thinking about it. You could tell they'd thought about it. And they replaced the light in the car's cab, which had died. And I tell you, I miss that when it's dark. So now we have light. So that was cool. $10. Take the car home. No problem. And here's where the interesting thing was, and I've actually skipped the important day. It was the day, because I picked it up on Tuesday, and on Monday, so I put the car in there, and they said, oh, we'll let you know, and at, I don't know, 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon, I get a text that says the car's done, you can come and get it. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll do that tomorrow, and I let them know. And I asked them, how much was the cost? And they said, oh, $10. And here's what happened, which I had to master. Okay, and it's taken me ages to tell the story, but it's kind of a cool story with all the synchronicities. What happened was I saw that, and my brain went, oh, they didn't find anything. Oh, that still means that when the next time I want to drive, it might all go to shit. It might all be scary. It might be, and I kid you not, my brain went quite crazy. And I could feel my body going into fear. And I shut it down. And then, a minute or two or 5 minutes later, I thought about it again. And just by thinking, I sent my body into fear and I shut it down. And I sent my body into fear and I shut it down. And it just over and over and over. And I thought, what am I stressing about here? And I thought, well, it's an unknown. And I am concerned, what's wrong? Am I going to be stranded? And I had to sit and really think, what am I actually worried about here? And it was just, it's an unknown. I don't know. And I mean, having talked to the mechanic, it probably is that the oil leak is just a little bit more than it used to be. And it drips on the exhaust and it smells bad. We don't know. But of course, the weekend cometh, and if the weather's nice, I'm going to want to drive to Petone to meditate on the beach. And besides, I need to do my shopping. And so I have to master myself about this unknown. Oh, is the car going to make a bad smell again? And what does it mean? Am I in danger? Because as a person who's not, I'm a really safe driver, but I don't think that I'm particularly skilled, as in I can do ordinary stuff really well. But put me in a not ordinary situation where there's any kind of emergency, I don't know what to do. An emergency, not really an emergency stop, a slide, or I can't do that stuff. So it's like the possibility of my vehicle having this whatever is actually pretty scary to me. And I have to master that enough to think, what does my heart tell me? And I actually had to do that the very first day when I thought, am I going to go to the beach, and risk having another breakdown that I don't understand? And I realized that was what I was concerned about. I was concerned about being stranded. So I had to master myself a number of times. Oddly enough, on the very first day when it all, when it was apparent I wasn't going to have a walking meditation and it's dark and there's nobody here, and I didn't have to master myself at all. I felt so loved. I felt so supported the whole time. But the possibility of an unknown, the possibility of, oh, is my car going to break down? Are the brakes suddenly going to seize? Because I wondered if they were grabbing a bit. Am I going to lose control? Am I smelling something bad because there's something wrong in the steering column and it's coming into the, and the pictures in my head of flames or smoke, all a construction of my mind because I don't know what's going on with that vehicle. And it's all been checked out and nobody can find a problem. But you see what's going on. I have to master this because my brain is really good at anticipating the worst. And we all have brains that are designed to do that. Because if you anticipate the worst, if anything less happens, well, you're okay, aren't you? It's just that if you do that all the time, you get pretty miserable and scared and you get anxious like I have been. So that's my story. That is my story. And for you, here I am. It's a story, it's philosophy, it's dinner conversation, but what's useful to this? What's useful on this for you? For you, what is useful would be to notice for yourself, what are you reacting to? And by reacting to, I don't mean something big that's happening. And I mean, something big comes along, you have a disease or somebody you love gets in trouble or there's a financial disaster. You're going to react. You have to deal with that. I mean the things where it's the same familiar reaction that you have over and over and over and over and over again. And you keep reacting in the same thought. The unknown causes anxiety for lots of us, Mike. We're all in the same boat because the unknown is something that could hurt us. So, but if we keep on anticipating the worst, then we actually tend to end up creating the worst. So that's the thing, for me, was to notice, oh, my brain is running off ahead into the future. I'm not here right now where everything is fine. And I need to make a considered decision about which way I'm going to go. Am I going to drive to the beach anyway and risk something that I don't understand? I'm happier to take that risk now because I understand it better. So I've eliminated some of the unknown. There's still some of the unknown there because I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if this means that actually it's the very beginning of the end for our car, which was built in 1992. It's a good car. It's been looked after. We're only the second owners. But maybe we'll get to the point of realising that it needs a repair that's not worth doing. We'll see. All of these unknowns. all of these things that my brain, if I allowed it, could catastrophize about and say, oh my God, you're going to have to buy another car. What's it need to be? You need to do all this research. It's going to be really hard. And in fact, there's people I can ask who can give me advice about what to buy. Give us advice, you know. And we can go to places and gather information and test drive things and tra-la-la. But you see, it's very easy for me to race off out of right now into the what might and the what if and, you know, what could happen, instead of being right here and actually, okay, what am I really reacting to? Okay, that's what I'm reacting to, and this is how I'm reacting. Wait one, please, caller. Is that doing me any freaking good? Okay, it's not doing me any good. How would I like to be responding instead? What would I prefer to be thinking and what would I prefer to be feeling? And I'm not saying that it's easy to change from, and I feel scared, to something else. But the very first step of doing that is to actually make some kind of thought, if not a choice, because you might have to try a few things. There's trial and error involved in this. You might actually have to think, okay, I'm thinking this and I'm feeling that. What do I want to think and feel instead? And the voice in your head can say, but it's impossible. You're never going to feel that way and you're never going to think that way, so don't bother trying. But that's normal, by the way. You've got to learn not to listen to that voice. And just the very first step is to decide, okay, if I'm being like this, how do I want to be? And don't let yourself talk yourself out of it, because it's very easy. The voices in your head was, oh, you can't change that. You've been like this for 50 years. What are you talking about? It's just going to carry on being the same. It's way too hard. Don't bother. Forget about it. You know, it's just normal. I mean, everybody feels this way. Whatever happens in your head, you've got to realize that's an automatic program that runs inside your mind, the same as when X person does Y thing and you think, about it. That's a program too. It's automatic. If you can notice it, just notice it. And notice it enough to decide how you would like to be instead. That's the first step. The next step then is to think, oh shit, now I actually have to go against the 500,000 times I've thought that thought and felt that feeling, to think and feel something else. And it's going to feel really, really wrong. Just so you know, it's going to feel like crap. And you know why it feels like crap? Do you know why? There's a very neurological, biochemical reason why it feels crap. And I'm going to explain this and then I think I'll be done for today. So when you think a thought, you know, neurons in the brain, most people are aware that brain cells are called neurons, and they hook up like communities and they talk to each other. When you think, a series or a pattern or a sequence of neurons will fire. What many people are less aware of is that the neurons, despite the fact that they make communities and they talk and they have parties and they break up, they also break up, and they make friends and they break up, just like people, they never actually touch. There's a gap between them called the synaptic space. And what happens is there are these neurotransmitters that bridge the gap for us. I'm not going to go any more into that. And I'm not a neuroscientist, but I've learned a little bit of neuroscience, probably just enough to be dangerous. And those neurotransmitters, when they cross the synaptic space, they're different ones depending on the kind of thought you're thinking. An angry thought has different neurotransmitters compared to a happy one, compared to a joyful one, compared to a sad one, compared to a resentful one, compared to a critical one, compared to a shameful one, compared to a loving one. Every single thought that you think means different neurotransmitters jump the synaptic space. And those neurotransmitters also end up talking to a part of your brain that's a chemical factory that sends neuropeptides to your hormonal centers. So, and like your hormonal centers are like your adrenals, your thymus, your thyroid, gonads, pancreas, whatever, because that's an endocrine gland as well. And those Neuropeptides then instruct your hormonal centers to make your body feel exactly the way you were just thinking. That's why the neurochemistry is different. It has to be different. The feeling has to match the thought. So then what happens is if you've been thinking the same resentful thought for 50 years, or even 2, or even sometimes 6 weeks, your body actually gets used to it and it becomes addicted to that resentful thought because it's used to the chemistry. It literally gets adapted to that chemistry, just like a drug addict. And so when you start thinking, oh, that person, I've been resenting them for 5 years. I've been hating them for 5 years. Oh my God, I've trained my body to be the body of hatred for that person. OMFG. By the way, it's hurting you much more than them. When you go to think a different thought, like I'm just going to stop judging that person, for example, when you decide that you're going to see them, and instead of going in your head, you're going to, there they are, doing their thing. Here am I, being the space of non-judgment, for example, just making this up. The moment you do that, that's sending your body into a different chemical situation. And your body doesn't like that. Literally, the change from being resentful and hateful that it's used to coming into a space of non-judgment, that chemical change, it fights because it's different. It's the unknown. It's just like going down the road and thinking, when is this going to be different? And I can't control it. I can't predict this. I don't understand this. And the body is just like you and me. And it says, no, 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 no. Give me the chemistry that I understand and know. It's familiar. And that is why it feels so awful when you decide after however long to think a different thought. And by the way, that's also why you can think the different thought and the chemistry doesn't follow. You don't feel like the thought you're thinking because your body's so used to feeling like the thought you have been thinking. And that's why we have to work at it. We have to actually make a lot of effort to change from thinking and feeling one way to thinking and feeling another. Now, how you do that, beyond actually mentally and consciously choosing to think and feel differently, is another question, which I might talk about another day. So I'm going to stop there. That's why it's so challenging for us to be God of me, because we've gotten used to letting other things and people tell us how we're going to feel. That person there controls me if I react to them. I see them, I'm going to be a certain way, even if I don't like being that way. That's not being God of me. That's them being God of me. And they don't even know it. They don't even get the benefit of being God of me. So I might as well take my power back so that I get to choose how I'm going to be around that person or that situation or my car that might do something, or whatever. That's what God of me is about. So I would like to know your thoughts, your questions. And I know there's plenty of you that are not able to join me live. And besides, I was an hour late today because I had some technical challenges. It's always technical fun the first time you do anything. But hey, I worked out how to do it on my phone, so that's how it's going to happen. I'm sure I'll get more refined at this as I go along. Thank you for joining me. I would love it if you aren't subscribed to my YouTube channel to please hit the subscribe. Please like this video and please share it. If you don't think I've rabbited on for too long and been horribly boring. I'm on a learning curve too, and I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants and working out how this is going to be for me as well, because it's brand new and I don't know what shape it's going to take. All I know is that I'm here and this is my journey, and I'm sharing it with you because whether you know it or not, you're on the same journey with me. So let's become God of me together. Much love. And now I've got to find the stop button. Let's see if it's this one. Until next time, bye-bye.